Hey everyone, Robbie from Daisho Tactical. Today we're going to talk about OODA Loops and how they apply to tactical decision making. So what are OODA Loops? Well, OODA is an acronym for Observe, Orient, Decide, Act, and it was a decision making process developed by a military strategist and U.S. Air Force pilot named John Boyd. Colonel Boyd developed this system in the 1970s to help fighter pilots make decisions faster and thus be more successful in air-to-air combat. Since then, it's been applied to a variety of subjects, most notably for me, tactical operations. So how does this apply to tactical decision making? Well, understand I have to go through this process every time I make a decision. When I'm in competition with someone else, they're also trying to go through the same process. My goal is to go through mine faster than them, thus getting an advantage, or disrupt their process so they can't get to the end of it, they can't get to the action, and thus I've disrupted their OODA loop, and I once again have stopped them from doing something, so I have an advantage. So what does this process look like? Well, first I have to observe, just basically see what the hell I'm looking at, what I'm trying to make a decision about. Orient is basically I'm determining what exactly I'm looking at. Decide is what the hell am I going to do with what I'm looking at once I know what it is. And act speaks for itself, it's the action. And then I would go back to observe, starting all over again, looping over and over again. So the best way I've found to explain how OODA loops apply to tactical decision making is to use the following example. Let's say I have a closet, a small room, whatever. Small room that's only big enough for one person, okay? And the door to it is closed. And I got my one bad guy in there. Now this bad guy is armed and he's decided that he's gonna shoot whatever he sees. Whatever opens this door, he's gonna shoot it. Doesn't care, okay? Because he knows, let's say the police are in his house and they're looking for him and I'm gonna shoot him. Now traditional kind of old school law enforcement training would dictate that one person is going to open the door and then another person is going to sit here with their weapon at the ready and they're going to take care of whatever's in the room. Okay, now old school thinking outside of OODA loops would think, well, yeah, this is pretty safe, this is tactically safe because this guy is only opening the door and this guy, his only job he's got to do is deal with what's in the room, so he's just singularly focused. And theoretically, because he's ready and he's on his gun, he's going to win this gunfight. The problem is this doesn't really comply with OODA loops at all. So once this guy opens the door, this guy's got to observe. He's got to go through his sequence here. He's got to observe, what is that? Okay, guy with a gun. Then he's got to decide, well, what exactly is it? Guy with a gun. What do I need to do to it? Shoot it. Then he makes a decision, shoot. So he's got to go through his whole process. Meanwhile, this guy he's already observing where he's going to shoot. He's already oriented towards that threat. He's already decided whoever opens the door, I'm shooting. I don't care what it is. So he's all the way down here at act. This guy is going to win this gunfight every time because he's so much further ahead on the OODA loop than this person who has to start at the beginning at observe, at what is in the closet. So how do we flip this around? My solution to this, and the one that'll help you understand this better, is you step out of the way of the door and you open this door to open air. Okay? If this bad guy has obviously made the decision to fire, he fires and there's nothing there. So now we know three things from that. One, there's somebody in there. Two, they're armed. Three, they have hostile intent. That helps us move further down this OODA loop. Okay? We don't know exactly where he is, but we know there's a bad guy in there in a small room. Orient, we know he's in there and he's a threat. Decide, we're going to make the decision to shoot back and then take the action. What has happened to him? What happened to his OODA loop? Well, all of a sudden he's got to start back over and observe. He's all the way back here. Because now, crap, there's nothing there. He's looking at an empty space that he just shot at. And he's wondering, what the hell's going on? So now when this guy pies this corner to engage, he's much further down on his process because he kind of has an idea what's in there and he knows he's going to engage it because he knows it's a threat. Meanwhile, this guy's starting all the way back at observe, trying to figure out where these guys go. That's how this works for kind of tactical decision making, and that's the best way I've found to describe it to students. So what are some other ways we can apply this to, let's say, CQB? Well, let's take observe, for example. If I'm the only one who can observe, then I have a significant advantage over my opponent, thus night vision. If I have night vision and they don't, I'm observing and everybody else is stuck right here because they can't get past it. It's very difficult for them to go through this process if you can't see. An example of how I can disrupt my opponent's ability to orient towards me would be, let's say I'm in a dark environment, I'm using a white light, and when I use that white light, I then turn it off and displace, and then make it so my opponent cannot kind of orient towards me and know where I'm at to work his way through his process. A way I can disrupt my opponent's decision making is to cause any sort of confusion, okay? And we can do that with a variety of things, flashbangs, distractions, and just random chaos. Overwhelm their OODA loop, overwhelm their observations, so it makes it more difficult for them to make a decision. So those are some of the ways during SWAT operations we can use this to our advantage to keep our opponents confused and reacting to our actions. And that's basically the short version. You always want your opponent reacting to your actions versus you reacting to their actions. I tell my students, if you're reacting, you're waiting to die. Now that's a little bit of an overstatement, but it gets the point across. Now, professionally, are we always in a position where we can always be acting and never reacting? No, that's not true. Oftentimes we have to react to somebody else's actions. When we do that, we want to do it as safely as possible. We want to stack the deck in our favor as much as possible because the person taking the action has the advantage, okay? They're going to go first and they're going to get several shots off before you do every time because we have to observe, orient, decide, act to their action. So automatically we're behind the curve. So when legally or morally we have to react to somebody else's actions, how are we going to do that safely? How are we going to stack that deck in our favor? Well, let's use this example. Once again, we got a guy, he's in this room, we know he's in this room, and we know he's a bad dude, and we know he's armed. And we're going to have him come out to us. We're going to do what we call a call out, okay? Are we going to do it right up here by the door? No, because that's not safe. We want to increase distance to give us a little bit more reactionary gap. Also, distance favors the trained shooter. Who are the trained shooters? We are. So we're going to go from a position of cover, preferably, use cover further away, and we're going to call this person out to us. I always say when time allows, you want distance, cover, long guns, and friends. And friends give you multiple angles. So for example, instead of being right here, maybe right here and right here, you want more angles to get into there, okay? And now you're going to call this person out. Yes, you're reacting to this person's actions of coming out, but if he wants to start that gunfight, we have all the advantage in the world to be victorious. And the distance is going to give us safety, the cover is going to give us safety, and the angles are going to give us a huge offensive advantage, as are the long guns. So once again, when you have to react to somebody else's actions, you want distance, cover, long guns, and friends. Friends are multiple angles. This is a concept you have to understand and know how to apply if you're going to be successful in tactical operations. So that's all I got on OODA Loops. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, hit the little bell. You guys know how YouTube works. You can also find me on Rumble. Another way to support my channel is by buying some merchandise. Go to my store, daishotactical.com. That's my web store. There you can find a variety of tactical slings that are made by me at my workbench. Thanks for watching.